Let's get some reaction now from Organisation Undoing Tax Abuse CEO Wayne Duvenaga, who joins us for a conversation. A very good evening to you, Wayne. Thank you so much for your time. How should we begin to interpret these latest developments? I mean, resignation of former Minister Zizi Kodwa. What do you make of the move?
Well, first of all, we welcome it. We welcome the arrest, the charges, the criminal justice system now working. We are a bit dismayed that it's taken so long, since the Zondo Commission and other reports of nefarious activities and dubious conduct. So it's good that we're here. I think it's coincidence, the timing. And yes, we saw his name on the list of the ANC. That'll probably come off right now. As you say, he's resigned, and I can't see him being an MP after this. So this is a very welcome move, and we want to see more of this because there are a lot more people implicated in other matters similar to this.
We heard today at a media briefing held by the ANC, the spokesperson Mahlengu Bengu Mutsiri saying that the step-aside policy would kick in after Kodwa was formally charged, but he decided to resign before that process even started kicking in.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting point. So what does this mean now? And this is the question we've got to ask of civil society. Of course, they would say that. They have to say that, especially after stating that they want to start ruling now for the people. But if he resigns, we see this so often, even in the corporate world, but and so much in the public sector. People are found with their fingers in the cookie jar. They quickly resign, as reports are put together and the writing is on the wall, and then nothing happens. They get off scot-free. What we would like to see the ANC doing is more than just going through their ethics assessment processes, but charging Mr. Kodwa himself by using every avenue that they can to hold him to account for the conduct, especially if the court rules against him. They must really make sure that Mr. Kodwa does not surface again in any form of government going forward.
For more on Zizi Kodwa's first court appearance, I'm joined by Kenny Mapanga, SABC News senior reporter. Kenny, good afternoon. So Zizi made his first court appearance. He's now former minister because there have been a lot of developments beyond that first appearance. But talk us through the court proceedings, perhaps starting with the background, just for the benefit of those who might not have been following the case.
All right. Well, Mfundo, we did know that there was going to be a high-profile individual that would be placed before that commercial crimes court sitting in Palm Ridge. However, when we saw that he emerged into that criminal dock with a businessman by the name of Johan McKay, it became quite clear that we're dealing with a case stemming from the Zondo Commission. Now, you remember that matter which discussed allegations of bribery. You remember Zizi Kodwa went and testified at the Zondo Commission and said that it was just an interaction between friends. He'll said that it had nothing to do with the procurement processes of tenders in government, including State Security Agency. You may remember at the time that EOH, which Johan McKay was the former executive director, stand to be corrected on the exact title that he enjoyed there at that company, had been the subject of a number of allegations before the Zondo Commission. So we knew as soon as the pair emerged together that this had to do with the alleged bribery of 1.6 million to him and luxury accommodation in Cape Town, which we saw discussed extensively in the Zondo Commission with the Chief Justice, Raymond Zondo, who was then the chair of the commission, making a recommendation that he should be probed further on this. However, we saw that after these allegations, he was still appointed as the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture. But however, when he came to court this morning, after seeing him appear rather in the criminal dock, the big question was, would he step aside as per the ANC step-aside resolution, which was reaffirmed in its latest national conference. And we saw just about seconds after that court appearance, he then tendered in his resignation. We saw that public statement in the public domain confirming that fact.
It seems case of a former Sports, Arts and Culture Minister Zizi Kodwa, if you can, just give us, of course, just to give context, it relates to the Zondo Commission recommendations on state capture. But what are your thoughts in terms of how his legal representative then would, what strategy, in fact, he will be following, just presumably having to find if he indeed had this relationship with EOH executive Johan McKay, and of course, these transactions between him channeling payments of over, we understand, 1.6 million rand.
Well, it's one of the cases that the ANC, in particular government officials, have a problem with, where you find that there will be someone who will be influential in assisting a service provider to get a tender or to get, a business. So we will then see, because obviously he has a right to be assumed to be innocent before proven guilty. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse. You did see, as well as one of the best legal representative in the country, Babu Machaf. So we will see what evidence they have. It's just that, not to be controversial, but I think the timing of him being arrested is quite interesting to note, because this issue happened, or rather the Zondo Commission was in 2020, 2021, and it's only now just after the election. So it's very interesting to note when it happened. But obviously, one of the issues that the country is having is corruption, but he's innocent until proven guilty. Let's see how that evidence will come out, and then how he will challenge it, or how he will say how he will deny it. But remember, that is why, Sis Unati, we always say, if you have a case or there's some questions, rather respond when you've spoken to your attorney. And the reason why I'm saying that, he's already on record to say he had issues of debt, so he borrowed that money, that 1 million, and he bought an expensive car as well. So that is on record as well. So that is why I'm saying there are some issues that he has responded to, and I don't know how that will affect his case. But let's see how it will be dealt with, because he's already responded, and I think it might affect him negatively when the matter is proceeding.
Well, SABC News, Kani Mapanga, she has been at the Palm Ridge Specialized Criminal Court, where the hearing of the bail application of Zizi Kodwa and his co-accused was being heard. They were given bail of 30,000 rand. Let's cross over now to my colleague, Kani. Thank you very much, Kani. So you did see Mr. Zizi Kodwa. What was his demeanor when the decision was taken to give him bail?
Well, good afternoon to you and to the viewers at home, Nompu. Well, we can actually confirm that the high-ranking ANC official that we spoke of earlier is Mr. Zizi Kodwa, who currently serves as the Sports, Arts and Culture Minister, and he was accompanied by his co-accused, Mr. Jahan McKay. Now, we know that this obviously relates to the Zondo Commission. You may remember some of those allegations that came out, allegations of bribery with respect to Jahan McKay, the businessman, and the NEC member and spokesperson of the NEC at the time, which would have been Mr. Zizi Kodwa. Now, we've seen that it's a Schedule 5 offence of corruption charges, which meant that the onus was on them to prove to the court that it was in the interest of justice, that they bail, or they be released in bail, rather. And we can see now that the court agrees that it is in the interest of justice, and they've weighed out those different rights and those different grounds upon which they argued for their release, and has granted them bail of 30,000 rand each and asked for them to return to court on the 24th of July. Now, Mr. Zizi Kodwa was calm today in court, as long as with Mr. Jahan McKay, and he was accompanied by his wife, and I think some family members were in the public gallery as well. We expect this matter to play out. This is one of the very few instances where we are seeing some of the Zondo Commission's findings and recommendations play out in the courts of South Africa. So it'll be quite a long journey on this matter as well. As we expected, the state did not oppose bail, so it was quite a quick court appearance, a couple of hours for them to present their cases, and of course they were granted bail, and we can expect that the matter can return to the lower court for consultation and some other administrative issues to take place, and we're a bit far from that matter being set for trial date. But again, this is another matter, a high-profile corruption matter, which we have seen been discussed in the Zondo Commission, now coming before the courts of law in South Africa, and we're seeing that justice will be seen in this various allegations. They will be tested, they will be tried in the courts of South Africa, and we'll come to a conclusion as to some of those allegations we saw playing out in the Zondo Commission.
Yeah.